As more people are starting to realize, VTubing is not a single community. Rather, VTubing is one massive world in which many community ecosystems and cultural spheres of influence coexist. Some of them overlapping with each other, while some others being completely separate. A good example would be VShoujo and VSpo, two completely different agencies with completely different cultures that have no overlap with each other whatsoever, to the point where they may as well be two different countries on each side of the VTuber world. Think of it like different biomes in Minecraft. And yet, VShoujo and VSpo are both among the biggest agencies in the entire world, right after Hololive and Nijisanji, with VSpo being very popular in the JP scene, and VShoujo being very popular in the EN scene. Both of these agencies exist in bigger cultural spheres of influence, with VShoujo being particularly influential in the EN Twitch ecosystem, and VSpo being a very big presence in what has likely become one of my absolute favorite online ecosystems. You have no idea how obsessed I've been with it. VTubers and video games go hand in hand. I love watching my anime dog girl getting excited mowing down legions of demons with a chainsaw. And because gaming is such a popular hobby, you'll rarely find a VTuber who doesn't play games on stream. However, some VTubers take this one step further and are absolutely cracked at games, becoming huge sweatlords that dominate online ladders. But what if we took one step further still and cultivated an entire community ecosystem of hardened competitive gamers who constantly pit their skills against one another? A community so intense and skilled that if one who theoretically took it lightly would get incinerated by the sheer heat radiating from its flames of competitive passion. The most intense community in VTubing. Well, that's what you click this video for. Welcome to what I've come to call the JP competitive gaming VTuber scene. That's a bit of a mouthful, so maybe we should call it JPCGVS or JP VTuber esports scene. Oh, JP V-sports scene. Whatever sticks the best. Some of you watching may already have come across clips where a bunch of VTubers are all competing in one big tournament. And that is precisely what this is. This is an ecosystem where many competitive VTubers gather and go all out against each other. And it's been going on for longer than the EN scene even exists for. It is one of the major ecosystems of the JP VTuber scene, and you will see many VTubers and streamers from all over it. Hololive, Holostars, Nijisanji, VSpo, Neoporte, Nanashi Inc., indie VTubers, and even esports orgs like Crazy Raccoon and Reject. The affiliation doesn't really matter, because what brings them all together is their love for competition and competitive games. Some of the more popular games you'll see in it at the moment are games like Apex Legends, Valorant, League of Legends, PUBG used to be quite popular in the past, and Street Fighter 6 has become very popular among JP VTubers in recent years. And as a result of a lot of these games being team-based, it has resulted in the cultivation of jolly cooperation and the bonds of its participants. This is why VTubers in this community collab a lot. Even many Street Fighter 6 tournaments have frequently been done in a team format for that same reason. There are so many stories of VTubers who became great friends because of their time spent fighting side by side on the battlefield, facing many hardships together. For example, viewers of this channel may recall the stories of Team Start In or Team Pretatato Isho from videos I've done in the past. But the reality is that there are hundreds more stories like that, which is part of what makes this ecosystem so beautiful. Tournament arcs just naturally become a nurturing ground for good stories. VTubers that are recurrent participants of the many gaming tournaments are encouraged to change who they team up with. So today's adversary could very well become tomorrow's ally, just like today's ally could become tomorrow's foe. And this is very exciting for both participants and viewers alike. But of course, you also have many beloved VTuber dynamics that do make their return from time to time. I am not exaggerating when I say this is one of the most intense communities in VTubing, for the VTubers in it take the competition very seriously. Remember how much I glazed the Holo New Year Cup, Hololive's recurrent Mario Kart competition? Yeah, imagine that times 100. It's such a sweaty environment that every tournament you see usually has actual pro players coaching the teams. Every single year, you have dozens upon dozens of tournaments taking place, and you tend to see a lot of recurrent faces in them. For example, if you are a Tokoyami Towa fan, you've probably seen her participate in a lot of Apex Legends tournaments over the years, as well as a few Street Fighter 6 competitions more recently. If you didn't know why, this is the answer. If Hololive ever had to pick an esports representative, then I'd believe Towa would be the best for it. Towa is a very recurrent face of this competitive ecosystem, and she's such a competitive enthusiast to the point where many VSpO fans even consider her an unofficial VSpO member. And Laplace Darkness very much follows in her footsteps in this. Mind you, VSpO is an esports-focused VTuber agency, but don't worry, they'll have their own videos soon. But Towa and Laplace are just two examples, for there are several other Hololive members taking part in the many events and competitions every year. Now, let me introduce to you some of the major events you'll see popping up from time to time. The VTuber Most Cooperative Tournament, better known as V-Saikyo, is a tournament series organized by former Apex pro player turned VTuber Shibuya Hall. Currently, it is by far the biggest and most popular competitive event in the VTuber world. Originally, it was an Apex Legends focused tournament, currently having 6 seasons of Apex tournaments. But at the time of this video's making, Shibuya Hall has also organized a season for Valorant and a season for Street Fighter 6 as well. Unlike other events in this ecosystem, participation in the V-Saikyo tournament is for VTubers only, but you always have active or retired pro players acting as coaches for each team. In these tournaments, the teams often practice hard together for over a month leading up to the day of the tournament, and it is truly brutal. I always love accompanying the screams. The Kasen Tournament. Organized by the streamer Kasen. These tournaments are usually focused on League of Legends, but there's been a GeoGuessr tournament as well. In many seasons, several VTubers and streamers were introduced to League of Legends and then competed in a final showdown using everything they learned from the few days of coaching and practice. But while many Kasen tournaments were meant to introduce the game to beginners, you also had times where past participants returned in an all-stars showdown amongst themselves, like in the Kasen Tournament 10. And suffice to say, the Kasen Tournament is responsible for many Japanese VTubers' addictions to League. The Crazy Raccoon Cup, organized by Crazy Raccoon. Like many other esports orgs, Crazy Raccoon frequently organizes tournaments on multiple games, where its affiliated members lead teams of invited VTubers and other streamers against each other, sometimes even inviting members of different esports orgs to lead their own teams. As I said, other esports orgs do invitational tournaments like these too, but the Crazy Raccoon Cups are the ones I've personally seen the most. The ASGS, organized by VTuber Aoi Sakura. This is a more recent Apex Legends tournament series in which Aoi Sakura invites many strong Apex VTubers, streamers, pros and former pros to compete together. If you are a Dokibird fan, Dokibird actually participated in the ASGS Road to Sapporo back in December of 2024. The Shishiro Cup, organized and hosted by Shishiro Botan, is a Street Fighter 6 tournament series supported by Capcom. There have been 3 tournaments so far, split into multiple rank-based divisions, and was even advertised inside the game itself, much like other past creator events like the Reject Fight Night and the Seijam Slam. The VCR events, organized and hosted jointly by Vault Room and Crazy Raccoon. Now you may be saying, VCR events are not competitive, and you are correct. VCR are role-playing focused events that see the participation of many VTubers from all over the JPC. Even VTubers that are not competitive gamers at all, like Mori Calliope. In fact, sometimes you even have voice actors, idols, and gravure models taking part in them as well. However, at its core, this event and many of its recurrent participants are an integral part of the JP competitive gaming VTuber scene, functioning as another place where they may connect with each other and hang out in yet another fun, different way. And it has become a gateway for certain VTubers to make themselves known, and in other cases, even become competitive gamers themselves, which is precisely what happened to AkiRosenthal. If you ever wondered why Hakos Baelz participated in the Ditto Cup alongside Asteleda and Kagasumire, this is why. Hakos Baelz and Anya Melfissa are another 2 examples of VTubers that are not competitive gamers at all, but because of the connections they've been making by participating frequently in VCR events, they've become curious to try competing a bit. Because many of VCR participants are competitive gamers. VCR is a core pillar of the JP competitive gaming VTuber scene, which is to be expected, keeping in mind one of its organizers, Crazy Raccoon, is one of the most notorious esports orgs in its ecosystem. So far, there have been 3 seasons of VCR GTA, 2 seasons of VCR Rust, and 1 season each for VCR Ark and VCR Minecraft. Without a doubt, VCR, and especially VCR GTA in particular, is the biggest and most beloved VTuber event in the VTuber world every time it happens. As you can see, there are many different events in the JP competitive gaming VTuber scene, and these are just a few examples because there are many more that I didn't mention. Like I said, there's usually some kind of tournament or event going on. Thanks to the events and connections brought by esports orgs like Crazy Raccoon and Reject, they have become foundational pillars for the prosperity of this ecosystem. And there's been an increasing number of indie VTubers who, after making themselves known in the ecosystem, even becoming affiliated with these orgs, with Reject having the most VTubers affiliated under it than any other esports org. Likewise, you have more traditional VTuber agencies that are more esports focused, like the previously mentioned VSpo, but also Neoporte, which, by the way, is a VTuber agency co-founded by the owner of Crazy Raccoon and Shibuya Hall. You see how everything connects? And I have to highlight Shibuya Hall as someone who, even before the EN VTuber scene existed, has hosted many competitive events, like his weekly Shibuya Hall customs. And I believe him to be another big contributor to the prosperity of this wonderful ecosystem, as well as one who brought over many esports connections to JP VTubing. It's no wonder his V-Cycle tournaments are so beloved, which, by the way, Crazy Raccoon helps organizing. While this ecosystem is a part of an overall Japanese cultural sphere of influence of the VTuber world, you don't have to be necessarily Japanese to integrate in it, for you will find several VTubers and streamers of different nationalities in it too. A great example would be RPR, a retired Apex Pro player from Croatia who became a VTuber himself and learned Japanese in like a year. And though it was scuffed at first, it was enough for him to collab with many other Japanese VTubers, including Izoshi, and integrate himself in this ecosystem, becoming a very recurrent face in many events like VCR, and even being the official coach of Team Seiso back in the Apex V-Cycle Season 5. And now, RPR lives a happy life being abused by his 2 bickering daughters, Ditto and Kohaku. My point is, so long as one is a harmonious person that has a desire to integrate themselves sincerely, then they will be accepted by its residents. Respect is met with respect. So while this is a JP-dominated ecosystem, it's not made up entirely of just Japanese VTubers and streamers. Of course, being physically in Japan is very helpful due to factors like servers and ping. For example, in the V-Cycle tournaments, it is required its participants to be in Japan for that same reason. But I believe there is one more important factor which has given way to this wonderful community ecosystem, whether by a result of the dominating Japanese culture or by sheer accident. And I know this is going to sound cheesy, but bear with me. It's honor. As you can imagine, when I describe to you a community where everyone is a sweat lord trying their best to win, imagine that such a place would become a toxic hell, right? Not in this ecosystem actually, and I believe it's due to honor. For a long time now, I've been continuously impressed by the good qualities the people in it showcase. Qualities like good sportsmanship, competitive passion, camaraderie, diligent self-improvement, and mutual respect. Yes, everyone is mercilessly giving it their all on the battlefield to become number 1 at whatever competition they're participating. But that doesn't exclude them from being genuinely nice and friendly towards each other. Every time there's a new participant, if they're strong, like Minato Aqua, they're met with excitement by other participants. And if they're beginners, like AkiRosenthal, they are met with support and guidance. This community is willing to open their arms to any who share the same competitive passion and give it their all. Everyone is respected, from the strongest warriors to the lower ranked ones trying to keep up. It is a harmonious community, even if they are constantly fighting each other ferociously on the battlefield. Once you step into the field, you will be mercilessly met with everything they have with no holding back. But you will be applauded and respected for giving it your best shot. You should have fun in giving your best, even if it results in defeat. And defeat is something every VTuber in this ecosystem has to face very frequently. But they remain ablaze with passion, and I believe that competitive passion is well exemplified in the many tears shed over the years. Be them tears of frustration or happiness, they are all beautiful tears. They are a product of their passionate souls. You will continuously see the honor I speak of if you pay attention to this scene. For example, those of you who've watched my Minato Aqua video will remember how Suisei, an inexperienced Apex player, revealed to have sparred and been coached by several VSPO members back in the Apex v Saikyo Season 4. And mind you, those same VSPO members were her opponents, who too were taking part in that same tournament. And yet, they still offered their help to Suisei. And knowing how much of a fast learner Suisei is, I have no doubt she learned a lot from them, which contributed to how well she performed for someone of her rank. Suisei and Asumi Sena would become friends from this exchange, and Suisei even went on to appear in Sena's 3D reveal stream. Though they were opponents, they were willing to lend a hand. That is the kind of honorable good sportsmanship that is so admirable. And there are many more such cases, like how AkiRosenthal received so much assistance and advice from some other participants when she took up the challenge of surviving the 6th Apex v Saikyo as a complete FPS beginner. And throughout Aki's competitive history, you can see many other VTubers, both in and out of Hololive, cheer for her and praise her for how far she's come. These honorable qualities are yet another of the major pillars that contribute to the thriving prosperity of this community ecosystem. They're good, admirable qualities that make it all the more beautiful, and for that, this competitive ecosystem is a nurturing ground for honorable warriors. They are very friendly, but never forget that once you step on the battlefield, you will face their entire might. But it is that fire of struggle and adversity that continuously forges stronger and stronger warriors and bonds, pushing each other beyond their limits, and has made them so experienced in competitive environments. Perhaps to some who aren't really into sweaty competitions, all of what I just said probably sounds like hell, but to those of you watching that, like me, see the beauty in it, this is paradise. A competitive paradise of passion and grit, where many beautiful stories are naturally born. A battlefield where many epic battles are fought, and where skill, strength, and dedication are the universal languages. A battlefield of hardened competitive veterans fighting each other for years, almost like Takeda Shingen and Uesugi Kenshin at the battles of Kawanakajima. Two great rival warlords who came to respect each other for their skills as military commanders after warring amongst each other for so long. This ecosystem is a battlefield that has connected and has resulted in the flourishing of many bonds of friendship, and all the warriors upon its fertile ground are its beautiful flowers. It is my hope that maybe one day we could have a thriving competitive community ecosystem like this in the EN scene. And when I look at the roster of the Dokibird Oversight Apex Custom, I am filled with great hope for the future. Perhaps it could become real should enough awareness reach the EN scene. Events like Dokibirds are precisely the seeds that could give bloom to such an ecosystem. And if, in the future, such a community ends up being formed in EN scene, I hope that, above all, it may too reflect the same honorable qualities of the JP competitive gaming VTuber scene. Good sportsmanship, camaraderie, diligent self-improvement, grace in defeat, humility in victory, a valorous competitive passion, and mutual respect. That is honor. These are the qualities that the Japanese competitive gaming VTuber scene demonstrates. After all, this ecosystem is a result nurtured by all those who are a part of it.
大会見てると涙が出てくる。頑張ってみんな頑張って今日のために練習してきたんだろうなって思うとちょっとマジで。
Fate is decreed by the heavens.
おい、なんなんだよこの探偵の取り方。おい。
Armor is strengthened by the heart.
オッケー、勝ち。ありがとう。嬉しい、ありがとう。
ゴールだった。いやー、マジでよかった。よかった。完璧。完璧だよ。よかった。泣いちゃった。いいんだよ。嬉しなくはなんぼでもいいんだよ。ああもう。
And glory is gained on foot. Hey! Oh!
つまよ。よっしゃー！じゃあ！よこせー！
おーよーし
勝ったんだよな。勝った勝った勝ったよーしみんな昨日繋いでくれたから。普通に涙です。お前ナイスマジで。ありがとう。本当にありがとう。すごすぎる。はい、修二さん、ありがとう。ありがとう。マジでチームありがとう。お疲れ様です。
Maybe Shamonten continue to watch over their passionate dance.
最悪だ。落ち着け落ち着け落ち着け落ち着け。
序盤からどっしりと相手の動きを見定めている。バックステップローリング。
あ、最悪。なんでこれ出ちゃったの。もう最悪。変なの出た。
勝負を決める。客船美が炸裂。
いや、これは対空しない対空しない対空しない対空しない。
投げが決まった。次はどうする。この返しは見切っていた。ここで
やばい。これはこれ打って一回離れて。
プレイヤー1ドライブは厳しいぞ。これはいい逆
いや最悪だ。
このドライブラッシュから弾力が問われる状況になった。
これ無理にいかない無理にいかない。
大きく距離が生まれた。両者どうする。バーンアウトする。終わりかねない。バーンアウト意図していたか。両者ドライブゲージがなくなる。ここは出しをし
ガブガブガブガブガブガブ。
出血だ。
いけいけいけいけいけいけ。
ダメスケさんゲージか。
最高やマジ勝ったー。やったーやったーやったーマジでシャーやったーやったー。
実力があったら見事勝利。まさにジャイアントキリング。